Rapid Racer is New England's only racing water coaster. Located at the all-new Great Wolf Lodge in Foxwoods, this is one of the signature slides at this indoor water park. But how does it stack up to the other water coasters out there? Find out in this review. The newest Great Wolf Lodge just opened this past weekend in Connecticut. The resort's main calling card is a 91,000 square foot indoor water park with 13 different slides. One of the main slides is a ProSlide water coaster named Rapid Racer. There were slides with this name at several older Great Wolf Lodges. At these locations, this was a racing tube slide, not a water coaster. The three newest Great Wolf Lodges also feature slides named Rapid Racer, but these are dueling water coasters. This video will focus on the version I've experienced at the Foxwoods location, but the Naples, Florida, and Webster, Texas locations have nearly identical slides. At the Foxwoods location, Rapid Racer is part of the water park's lone major slide tower. In this slide has a complex paint scheme. The start is bright yellow. The turn indoors is blue, brown, and teal with yellow stripes. The dip and uphill portions are brown. This part is on full display as you enter the queue. Then the final turn is outdoors and out of sight. Now I need to address the safety requirements for this slide. What is listed online does not match the physical signage at the park and what is actually enforced. I believe the listing online was copied from the Rapid Racer slides at their other locations that are not water coasters. The height requirement is correct that riders need to be a minimum of 42 inches tall, as is the max weight for two riders being 400 pounds. However, there is also a minimum weight of 150 pounds for two riders. This is a common requirement for a water coaster to ensure riders do not get stuck. Most egregiously, it says online that single riders are allowed if you ride in single tubes or the back of a double tube. However, in actuality, everyone must ride in double tubes, and you must have exactly 2 riders per tube, no more, no less. When you want to ride, you grab a yellow tube next to the splashdown area. These are bulkier and heavier than your average tubes, so a lot of kids were having difficulty moving them on their own. You then head up a staircase shared with the Alberta Falls tube slide. We visited on opening weekend, and crowds were light. We never had to wait more than 5 minutes for this slide. Queues in general are often quite low at Great Wolf Lodges because of how they limit attendance primarily to hotel guests, so I doubt this will exceed 10 to 15 minutes most days, especially because the slide has decent capacity for a water coaster. Most installations have just one lane. This one has 2 troughs side by side, so it can churn through people a bit faster. The one issue for us was that the slide kept breaking down. It would go down every 15 to 20 minutes it operated. Tubes would either clear the incline too slowly or not clear it at all. This would cause the slide to fault. Maintenance would typically reset it within 10 to 15 minutes. Since this slide is also found at other locations, I suspect this issue should become far less frequent over time. I doubt they would have installed a problematic slide at multiple locations. I bet the downtime was a teething issue, which is not too surprising considering we visited the park on just its second day of operation. A lot of rides, even reliable models, have some hiccups on their first few days of operation. Once at the top, 2 parties are admitted to the platform. Each pair of riders is then weighed on a scale. This verifies their weights are between 150 and 400 pounds. You then board your lane. If you want a wilder ride, I recommend the left side. The courses follow a nearly identical layout, but the drop on this one is noticeably better because you seem to take it with a bit more speed. However, you may not get to pick this side. This is for 2 reasons. 1, the first group gets to pick their lane first. 2, if you are riding alone and are not racing another tube, you have to ride on the right side. I'm not sure why that's a requirement, but it was being enforced. You then load your raft. The heavier rider is instructed to sit in the back. Once both parties are seated, the employee gives a countdown. You then push yourself into the course. This begins with a slight double down. This is small and tame, but it's open and adjacent to the other lane, so you get to see who pulls into an early lead. Next is an enclosed leftward turn. This had decent speed on its own, but it's accentuated by the striped patterns on the inside. This leads to the slide's main drop. It is not overly tall, as it's estimated to be 2 stories tall max, but it is decently steep. If you began on the left side, this drop offers a nice pop of airtime. However, if you started on the right side, you do not get any airtime. We rode both sides in identical conditions, meaning the same riders and same positions, and this was the case with multiple rides. Both sides are then blasted uphill. This part is fast, fluid, and also soaking. The powerful water jets are launched over your head, dousing you once you reach the apex. It is a real shock moment if you don't see it coming. This is followed by a mild rightward turn. The tube then opens up for you to see the other side. This is when you can see who will win the race. Then there's an okay leftward turn towards the splashdown pool. But there's one last surprise. You see, there's a little drop off between the end of the slide and the pool, so it's a bit of a turbulent and splashy entry. You then disembark, ending the roughly 20-second long experience. In terms of pacing, this water coaster holds its speed well. It is a mostly downhill gradient outside of that one uphill bit, which again is relatively speedy. That works well considering this slide's focus is on the racing element. So, what would I rate Rapid Racer? I would give this slide a 5 out of 10. This is an enjoyable water coaster. It just is not the length of the others. There is just one main drop. This is very good on the left side, but it's noticeably tamer on the right side. It is probably an extra point higher on the left side. You just can't guarantee that you'll get that side. Then that's followed by the lone ascent. The large drops and uphill parts are what differentiate water coasters from other slides, so this is why I prefer the model to focus on. However, this slide is still quite fun because of the pacing and dueling element. You don't see that with a lot of water coasters, and as I've said before, an average water coaster is still a well above average water slide in the grand scheme of things. How does Rapid Racer compare to the region's other water coasters? Poissy's Rocket Rapids has a great first drop and better length. Riptide Rockets at Wicked Waves has nice pacing and better length. Rapid Racer offers a first drop comparable to that of Rocket Rapids, if you're on the left side, and the pacing of Riptide Rockets. It is just a much shorter experience, but it does have the racing element in its favor. I personally prefer New England's other 2 water coasters, but it is close. Then I would definitely take this over Six Flags New England's now defunct Typhoon water coaster. Those are my thoughts on Rapid Racer at Connecticut's brand new Great Wolf Lodge. What are your thoughts about this slide? Have you ridden this, or another Rapid Racer at a different location? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.